so long as men can breathe or eyes can see. So long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Hi there, and welcome to Goodnight Stars, or welcome back to Goodnight Stars. Tonight we are reading some of the sonnets of William Shakespeare, who lived from 1564 to 1616. You might hear the word sonnet and start thinking about English class and tests and homework, but all a sonnet is just a 14-lined poem. And sonnets are usually rhyming in some way, and they usually are written in what's called Iambic Pentameter. Iambic Pentameter is very simply a sort of beat that a poem has that sounds like the human heart. So the human heart beats like this: dum dum, dum dum, dum dum, dum dum. And a line that is written in the Iambic Pentameter sounds like this: my glass shall not persuade me I am old, so long as youth and thou are of one date. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's just sort of a bum bum, bum bum, bum bum to the words themselves. It's not really that necessary to know everything about Iambic Pentameter, but it's something that makes the hearing of the poem more enjoyable. So feel free to listen for it if you've never noticed it before in poetry. It should be present in all the lines of these sonnets that I'm about to read. Sonnet 22. My glass shall not persuade me I am old, so long as youth and thou are of one date. But when in thee time's furrows I behold, then look I death my days should expiate. For all that beauty that doth cover thee is but the seemly raiment of my heart, which in thy breast doth live as thine in me. How can I then be elder than thou art? O therefore, love, be of thyself so wary, as I, not for myself, but for thee will, bearing thy heart, which I will keep so chary, as tender nurse her babe from faring ill. Presume not on thy heart when mine is slain. Thou gavest me thine not to give back again. Sonnet 98. From you have I been absent in the spring, when proud-pied April, dressed in all his trim, hath put a spirit of youth in everything. That heavy Saturn laughed and leaped with him, yet nor the lays of birds nor the sweet smell of different flowers in odor and in hue could make me any summer's story tell, or from their proud lap pluck them where they grew. Nor did I wonder at the lilies white, nor praise the deep vermilion in the rose. They were but sweet, but figures of delight, drawn after you, you pattern of all those. Yet seemed it winter still, and you away, as with your shadow I with these did play. Sonnet 30. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. For then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of forebemoaned moan, which I knew pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end. Sonnet 106. When in the chronicles of wasted time I see descriptions of the fairest wights, and beauty making beautiful old rhyme, in praise of ladies dead and lovely knights, Then in the blazon of sweet beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow, I see their antique pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. So all their praises are but prophecies of this our time, all your prefiguring. And for they looked but with divining eyes, they had not skill enough your worth to sing. For we, which now behold these present days, had eyes to wonder, but lack tongues to praise. Sonnet 138. When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies, that she might think me some untutored youth, unlearned in the world's false subtleties, thus vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best. Simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. On both sides thus is simple truth suppressed. But wherefore says she not she is unjust? And wherefore say not I that I am old? O love's best habit is in seeming trust, and age in love loves not to have years told. Therefore I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies we flattered be. Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate, for thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Sonnet 24. Mine eye hath played the painter and hath stelled thy beauty's form in table of my heart. My body is the frame wherein 'tis held, and perspective it is the painter's art. For through the painter must you see his skill, to find where your true image pictured lies, which in my bosom's shop is hanging still, that hath his windows glazed with thine eyes. Now see what good turns eyes for eyes have done. Mine eyes have drawn thy shape, and thine for me are windows to my breast, where through the sun delights to peep, to gaze therein on thee. Yet eyes this cunning want to grace their art. They draw but what they see, know not the heart. Sonnet 134. So now I have confessed that he is thine, and I myself am mortgaged to thy will. Myself I'll forfeit, so that other mine thou wilt restore to be my comfort still. But thou wilt not, nor he will not be free, for thou art covetous, and he is kind. He learned but shorty like to write for me, under that bond that him as fast doth bind. The statute of thy beauty thou wilt take, thou usurer that put'st forth all to use, and sue a friend came debtor for my sake, so him I lose through my unkind abuse. Him have I lost, thou hast both him and me. He pays the whole, and yet I am not free. Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Sonnet 104. To me, fair friend, you never can be old, for as you were when first your eye I eyed, such seems your beauty still. 3 winters cold have from the forests shook 3 summers' pride. 3 beauteous springs to yellow autumn turned. In the process of the seasons I have seen 3 April perfumes in 3 hot Junes burned. Since first I saw you fresh, which yet are green, ah, yet doth beauty like a dial hand steal from his figure and no pace perceived. So your sweet hue, which methinks still doth stand, hath motion, and mine eye may be deceived. For fear of which, hear this, thou age unbred, ere you were born was beauty's summer dead. Our final sonnet is Sonnet 18, which is possibly one of the most famous passages in the English language. And I think it's just because the imagery is very beautiful and very beautifully woven together, and people just relate to the feelings that he's expressing. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. I find it very moving that when William Shakespeare was writing, he knew how long-lasting his writing was going to be, when he couldn't really have known that, but on a certain level he did know. And it's actually very common to see that with these great poets. You can read in their writings that they pretty much knew that their work was valuable and it would continue to be valued long after their death. I like seeing that because it just shows a certain amount of confidence that I think people struggle with, and I think that we can derive inspiration from the confidence that people like William Shakespeare had when it comes to the things that we create and that we want to achieve. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you like this format where I share some of my thoughts on the poems and not just the poems themselves. If you're not yet subscribed to Goodnight Stars, you are welcome here. We would love to have you. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, good night, stars.